Well, 8 years after stepping away from politics, former Tennessee Governor Phil Bredesen is campaigning for a seat in the U.S. Senate, the same seat that Senator Bob Corker has decided that he will not run to keep.
Well, Bredesen, a Democrat, says he's not interested in coasting into the seat, but is grateful for the kind things Mr. Corker said, promising not to campaign against him. He chatted with Eyewitness News anchor Greg Glover earlier this afternoon.
I just think Washington needs some help, and I'd like to roll my sleeves up and try to provide some of it.
The soft-spoken and ever-congenial 48th governor of the great state of Tennessee stopped by Channel 3 in his run for U.S. Senate. After 7 years out of politics, we started with the obvious first question: why jump back in?
I think what I want to do is find ways to help people, and this is probably the highest and best use of me right now. I think I've got a lot of experience in trying to get things done in a bipartisan way, a lot in the healthcare field and so on.
On his friendship with Senator Bob Corker and his reaction to the former Chattanooga mayor's refusal to campaign against him, which has led to sometimes awkward responses to reporter questions.
I think it's kind of odd, and it's kind of a measure of what's wrong in Washington when two people who happen to be on opposite parties but have been friends for a long time have worked together on stuff. I mean, think of the Volkswagen plant, here in Chattanooga. That we can't be friendly and say nice things about each other. I respect, what he's done in the Senate. I respect the way he conducted himself as mayor, and it's been a great pleasure for me to have worked on different projects with him over the years, and I really appreciate the kind things he says in return.
Speaking of parties, Bredesen rejects the charge from pundits on the right that he'd do the bidding of the Democratic Party leaders over the interests of Tennesseans who voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump in 2016.
First of all, I mean, I don't think any party has got a lock on all of the kinds of things you need to know. I really do intend to work for the people of Tennessee, and certainly not the Democratic Party. I mean, to me, it isn't so much bipartisanship as being a little less partisan, a little nonpartisan about some things, and just trying to figure out what's the right answer, what's the right thing to do. And sure, some national Democrats called me and said, "I hope you'll do this," but there's nothing wrong with that. And but I've made it very clear to everybody, I intend to be an independent voice, and I'm far enough along in life and so on that I can afford to do so.
Greg Glover with that report. Phil Bredesen is just one of the Democrats going for the U.S. Senate seat. Gary Davis and John Wolf are the other Democrats. The Republican nominations include U.S. Representative Marsha Blackburn and Aaron Pettigrew. You can review the entire interview with Phil Bredesen inside the WRCB app.